Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Beginnings of Greatness. I am your host, Matthew Rhodes, and this is the assistant to the guest host, Joey Livingston.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Me, Matt Rhodes, host, Joey Livingston, assistant to the guest host. The Beginnings of Greatness has begun. Welcome.
Is that your new productivity app?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's under education, actually, in my category. How have you been? I like your new shirt.
You like this?
I do.
Matt and I both have fancy new shirts. We got these from Calvin Klein store. Can I get an overall shot of this, please?
Special order.
Our shirts. These are from Gucci.
Can you see it good? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, heroes in a half shell, turtle power. Classically trained on the NES.
That's right.
I remember when I got my first NES.
Of course, my gaming roots go back a bit further than that.
Mine too. I started out with the Atari.
Which model?
The wooden one with black ridges.
Okay, if you can't name the model, then you are
It was like Atari 2600.
disqualified from all gaming.
2600
credit.
or something like that. Something 100.
That is correct. The Atari 2600. The most popular Atari model.
Right,
available.
and there was an Atari I got after that. I believe it was an Atari, and it was kind of grayish, and it had a big pink button. Have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
Big pink button and another little button. I'm pretty sure that was an Atari.
Were the 2600 games compatible with it?
I don't know.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That would suck if it wasn't. And then after the Atari, I got the Atari 2600. My favorite games on it were Circus Atari.
Mm-hmm.
You ever played Circus Atari?
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. Had little teeter-totter guys on teeter-totters, or one guy, two guys on one teeter-totter, and one would be flipped up into the air. No, it was one guy. One would be flipped up into the air, and you'd try to. No, it was two guys. It was two guys. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, so one would.
Three guys. No,
It was two. It was just two. So you'd flip him up into the air, and he'd come back down. You try to catch him over here, and he would hit the other side of the teeter-totter, and it would flip the other guy up in the air. And I think they were trying to hit balloons up in the air, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think I do remember that one.
It was action-packed.
Oh yeah, I liked.
I would put it on par with Call of Duty.
Yeah. Same, as far as graphics are concerned, though, the Circus Atari is way better.
You're just taking things that are true and saying the opposite of them now.
It's opposite day. I loved. Do you remember Pitfall?
Yes.
That has stayed around for just about every console.
Sure, that was a legendary. That was like Atari 2600 legendary game. I mean, everybody
awesome.
wanted Pitfall. It wasn't my favorite game, but it was for a while my most wanted game because I didn't have it. My mom bought me Pitfall. This is a crazy story. My mom bought me Pitfall for my birthday. I had probably waited a year, maybe 2-3 years to get Pitfall.
Whoa.
And my mom finally bought it for me. I was a kid, so my memory may be way blown out of proportion here. Remember, she finally bought it for me in the box. Pitfall, open it up, green cartridge with the rainbow stripes, Pitfall. I stick it in the 2600, and all of a sudden, I'm this police officer running with a nightstick up this hotel.
Huh. Weird. It
wasn't Pitfall.
It was just in the casing of
The label said Pitfall. Everything said Pitfall.
brand new in the package.
Yeah, it wasn't like Gray Market or anything. We got
Right.
it from Toys R Us. I'm sure that she got it from Toys R Us. That is to say, because that's where we got all the games.
Right.
But it wasn't Pitfall. What I found out, just through eventually stumbling on the game and the name of it, is called Keystone Capers.
Keystone Capers.
And it was a pretty awesome game. Have you played Keystone
I
Capers?
haven't played Keystone
Yeah,
Capers.
it was an awesome game. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but obviously an initial disappointment.
Right.
It was
You're like,
the game that I had been waiting on
3 years. And then it's Keystone Capers.
Keystone Capers.
Keystone Capers.
So you had this police officer like he ran way faster than the Pitfall guy. Like just for the record. Yeah, he's like way faster than the Pitfall guy. Seriously.
Right.
You know, the Pitfall guy was like right. Keystone Capers guy was like
nice.
when he'd fly across the screen, and there was this burglar that was trying to get to the top of the roof so that he could start jumping roofs and get away. And your job was to, and he was like rolling shopping carts at you and throwing frisbees, and your job was to get past all the obstacles and catch him before he got to the roof of the building.
Nice.
And
sounds fun.
It was a lot of fun. And if if anything hit you, it would slow you way down. So on some levels, you had to do it perfectly, or you would not get him.
Yikes. Another game that I remember, Joust. Do you remember that one? Where you're these guys on
Another
ostriches
awesome
running around.
Game. But I'm not sure was that available on the 2600? I think it was.
I'll have to
Might not have been
check.
as good as the arcade version, but I think they had a version for the 2600.
Right. I know I played it on an Atari.
Yeah,
which
it
one?
probably was the 2600. Did you play Kaboom?
Sounds familiar. Refresh my memory.
That was probably my favorite game of all of them. Kaboom. In Kaboom, it's very simple. You got a criminal at the top of the screen, and you can tell he's a criminal because he's wearing black and white stripes, and he has a mask.
Dead giveaway.
He has a criminal mask, like
Did he have
the
a
official criminal mask.
bag with a $sign on it?
No, I don't think so. He may have. I don't remember, but definitely a criminal, no mistaking.
Right. Oh yeah, the mask.
And he was holding a bomb, and you were 3 buckets of water at the bottom.
Huh. That's what you were?
That's what you were, yeah. And he would drop bomb after bomb after bomb. And the bombs would they're on fire as they're coming down. And if they hit the ground, they blow up. And all the bombs blow up that are in the air.
Right.
And you got the paddle controller. Remember the paddle controllers?
Oh, yeah.
And you would steer the water buckets. And if a bomb hit the ground, one of your water buckets would blow up, and then you would only have 2 water buckets. Your bottom would blow up, So you have 3 water buckets. Basically, you have 3 chances to catch that bomb. Each bomb as it's coming down.
Right. So you have 3 lives basically in each.
Yeah, but it's not just 3 lives, because each time you blow up, it gets harder because now you only have 2 water buckets.
All right. Oh,
yeah. You lose 1 more life. Now you only have 1 water bucket.
Ooh,
and it's the highest water bucket, so you have the least amount of time to catch it.
Dang.
And it would get really fast. That guy would go, and I got really good at it.
Right.
Yeah. And
so you got really good at going like this.
Oh yeah,
real
I was like
good.
way good, way good at that, and so good that I couldn't believe how fast I was going and the levels that I was beating, and I wanted to show my mom how awesome I was at Kaboom. But every time that I would pull her into watch, I wouldn't do as well.
Yeah, that always happens.
And I would holler at the Atari that it was cheating. And my mom tried to convince me that computers don't cheat.
Which we know now.
Which was a great lesson to me because I learned that computers, they are not out. They don't break their own rules, etc. But then when I grew up, I found out that computers do cheat.
They cheat very much.
They do. Sometimes they cheat because people didn't write the programs very well, and they make mistakes.
Yeah.
And sometimes people write the program to cheat you. Yeah. But I don't think that was the case with Kaboom.
And then they become self-aware.
That hasn't happened yet.
Not yet. We are preparing for the day.
We are preparing for the singularity.
The whole east side of our studio is just filled with canned goods and sleeping supplies that we
here at the Cult of Irony.
The Cult of Irony. We keep a tight ship over here. Yeah. No windows.
All true. So
one more game I'd like to mention
on Atari.
Yes. I don't remember the name.
All the ones that tried to imitate movies were stupid.
Right.
Like E.T. I did play for a while, but it was kind of stupid. I loved E.T. the movie.
E.T. the game was pretty. It's like one of the worst games ever. I think it's on
E.T.
the
would
list.
extend his neck and the sound effect would go wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you'd like, I guess if you were in the vicinity of a piece of the phone, the phone would light up. And wow, and the phone would go, doop, and you go and get the piece.
The first video game of a movie that I really remember would be Jaws on the Nintendo. Now that was kind of a fun game, but you kept doing the same thing over and over again. You're just out.
Did you just skip to Nintendo?
Well, we was on the topic of movies. Let me say
I
my
very
game.
specifically said,
Let
are
me
you
say
talking about a game on Atari?
But I am. Okay, I'm talking about Tank. I think it's called Tank Commander.
It's called Taint?
Taint Commander.
Taint Commander.
That came out on the Sega CD. We're not up to that part yet.
Yeah, don't get ahead of
I'm
us.
talking about Tank Commander. And I think it's a red tank and like a blue tank.
Yeah, but there was different games that you played with the same tanks, right?
Right.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good game.
And then there was the ski game where you all those. In fact, I think the tank, if I'm thinking of the one you're thinking of, came on a cartridge with a bunch of other games. Like you'd hit the select switch over and over again.
Yeah.
And you go to tanks, or you would go to a ski guy, or you go to race car guys.
Boxing game on there, I believe.
Was a boxer game on there?
I believe it was.
I don't remember that. But yeah, the tank one was the funnest one because you would drive around real slow in this, like live.
Just super slow.
It'd be like, and there'd be like a rock right here. In the meantime, there's another one over here. And then you stop and your little guns go. And then you shoot and it goes boop. And on certain levels, the bullet would bounce.
Right.
Boop, and it go doo-doo, doo-doo. And if you got it just right, it go
work on the
and
angles.
start again.
That was a great game.
Yeah.
And you reenacted it perfectly because that's exactly how it was.
Yeah. Of course, the classic Atari. I say classic. Pitfall, in my opinion, was a classic because it was the most popular. Everybody wanted that game.
Right.
But the classic in the sense that it was, I think, the first game that came out and came with the Atari was Pac-Man.
Oh yeah, Pac-Man was great.
Didn't look nearly as good as the arcade.
Yeah.
But it was still a lot of fun. Did you ever play? I'm trying to remember. They had this stupid clone of Pac-Man on personal computers. I can't remember what it was called. It was such.
I think I know what you're talking about. I do not know the name of it though.
Well, the thing of it is that some creative genius decided that he was going to copy Pac-Man, but do it in a way that he wasn't going to get sued.
Right.
So what he did was, instead of Pac-Man eating the dots, Pac-Man put the dots back. He put the dots on an empty board. Yeah.
That might be. I don't remember playing that one. That might be pretty fun. Was it fun?
It's exactly the same as regular Pac-Man. I mean, you still have to. The point of eating the pellets or putting them back is that you have to cover the whole arena. That's all it is.
Oh, I was thinking it was some type of strategy where you had to just put those big dots in certain, but you have to hit an extra button to put them down. But but you just go, you just move.
Yeah, you just move, just like Pac-Man, except that's what I'm saying. Think of the pellets as lights. Like in regular Pac-Man, you're turning the lights on, and this one you're just turning them off.
Right.
Or no. In regular Pac-Man, you turn them off,
right.
And this one you're just turning them on. It's the same thing.
And you're still just moving.
Yeah. Or you're turning them black in the regular Pac-Man, or you're turning them white in the copy. Basically.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. I don't remember that one, but I do remember a Pac-Man game from the PC that was pretty horrible. But it was just like regular Pac-Man, except just crap graphics, crap ghosts, crap sounds, crap pellets.
So a legit
pellets.
I'm just going to copy this. And
right. I'm going to copy it and do it poorly.
And I'm going to make so little money on it that you will find no point in suing me over it.
Right. When you can
that's a good strategy to avoid being sued.
Oh yeah.
Just do it so crappy that nobody buys it.
Nobody cares.
Right.
Like, he can make all the games he wants.
That's pretty clever, pretty tricky copy guy. All right,
Good job, copy guy.
So the 2600 was awesome
Yes,
when it came out. When it came out,
when it had came
I had
out.
some neighbors that had an Atari, and I just couldn't believe that they had video games in their home.
Right.
You know, I was lucky if I got a quarter to play one at the convenience store. You know, and God forbid I get taken to the arcade. That was like,
oh, that's nuts in the arcade. It's
yeah,
just,
it was like
sensory overload.
Give me some training britches because I'm not going to be able to hold this
I can be
load.
hold it in.
You know,
this load's coming down. This load's hitting the ground.
that was my experience at the arcade.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't last I last about 30 seconds in there, and then I've got to go change my pants.
Right, you just shoot your load off all in the arcade walls,
Right.
and just nuts, man. Literally. I mean, when I walked into the arcade, we'd go to the putt golf and play around the putt. Then after putt, we'd go play the arcade games. And man, you just walk in, you hear all the sounds, you see the lights.
Yeah, the lights.
The lights.
And the lights.
And them lights. With them lights. They'd really send you over the edge.
The best. I love lights.
But it was great. What I loved to play the most at that particular arcade, 2 games.
I'd walk into the arcade and I'd be like,
That's how you know somebody new came in the door. Ding ding.
no, they'd just be like, oh, that's that kid. That's the same kid.
That's that Livingston boy.
Don't let him play. He'll mess up the controllers.
He'll get them all corroded and cruddy, sticky too. But I love playing the 2 games at this particular arcade. It was NBA Jam. I thought that was just the best game ever.
I hated sports games. I hated sports video games as much as I hated
But
sports.
NBA Jam wasn't a simulator, like a simulation basketball game. It was just nuts, like do 18 backflips and dunk the ball, and you turn on
the
fire.
only exception is track and field. I love track and field.
Track and field's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you get the pad for the Nintendo? Or your own one?
No, a friend had the pad.
Yeah, I didn't have that either.
But I had you could use the buttons, and we figured out that you could hold the controller.
Oh yeah,
and just rub your knuckle back and forth on it, and
goes
and you'd
real
fly.
quick.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Man.
Or you could get the cheat controller. Let's talk about the
Turbo.
let's talk about the NES because the NES was as unbelievable when it came out as the Atari. Well, yes, because what the Atari taught us was that you could have video games in your house, but they would totally suck compared to to the arcade.
Right.
And that's just the way that it was, and that's the way that it would always be.
Right.
Because no way would the man allow us to have games that we had to spend a quarter on at the mall.
Right.
For $150 plus the cost of the game, one-time charge in our house.
Right.
No, if you want it in your house, fine, but it's going to be crappy.
Yep,
That's what Atari taught us.
Because you still got to go back and play the arcade. You could have video games at your house, but you're still going to the arcade.
Arcade guy
nuts.
is not going to let home video game guy have games as good as he has.
No way.
That is capitalism.
Yeah, you
then
make too much money doing that.
The Nintendo came out, and it had Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, that was awesome.
And Donkey Kong
and Duck Hunt
and Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, and they all looked exactly like the arcade.
Right, they were awesome.
And that was another time when my mom had to wash my pants.
Did she have to use a Tide stick?
Yeah, I mean, it happened enough times to where she finally had to make me do it so that I would just learn to stop. Because there was a lot of amazing video games that came out. But
was you pooping, peeing, or poop and peeing?
All sorts of stuff. I lost track.
Even
of
beyond
it was just like I discovered, adolescence. But
at least when you woke up in the morning and had to dress yourself, you knew which way to put them on. The brown goes in the back and the yellow goes in the front. So you learned how to dress yourself fairly quickly.
Are we still talking about video games?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember when I got my Nintendo Entertainment System, my lovely mother got one for me for my birthday. See, I got it when I was in
Reflections tie-in.
Reflections. I was in the first grade, so I was...
Reflections identifies itself deeply
7.
with TBOG.
Yeah, we go hand in hand.
Yeah. It's almost like the same show.
It basically is. Yeah, just dove's tails.
Dove's
tails.
It dovetails.
It ducktails. Wow.
Ooh.
Great show.
Um,
DuckTales video game was pretty good.
Really? I don't know that I ever. Well, I think I may have tried it. Okay, so did you get the regular Nintendo or the deluxe Nintendo?
I got the Nintendo with it had Mario, and Duck Hunt,
and with
a controller and a gun.
Okay, so you got the one in the middle. They had one that just had a controller or two controllers with it. They had one that had two controllers and a gun, and then they had the one that I got.
Oh snap!
Which was the deluxe edition. It was a box this big. This big.
Dang.
And it had the base Nintendo box, two controllers, a gun, and a robot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think his name was Gizmo or something. He had big eyes like the Short Circuit robot, which I think Short Circuit came out before that. So that's why they made him look that way, because everybody loved number 5. Johnny 5.
Johnny 5.
Yeah. And it had this enormous it looked like a drum set in front of him, and he had these tops, and he would grab the tops, and you would control him by sending flash signals from the TV screen into his eyes.
That's cool.
And it had this thing that would rev the tops up, and then he would he would go and grab a top off of its stand, and he'd pick it up, and then he'd rotate it around, and he would stick the top into the spinner, and it would spin it like way fast, like so fast that it was science is what it was.
Man, that's
cool.
It
was that fast. And then he would, after it spun up that fast, he'd pick it up, and you could take him and he would take it to a spinning station where it was a button. It would he was like your second player. He was like player 2. And so he'd drop the top, and the top would spin on top of that button. And then he would have to go and grab another top and get it spinning on the other button.
You talking about the controller button?
No, he had this big station.
Okay.
And the buttons were big.
Right.
And the tops would spin on top of the button. And the button would no longer be pressed when the top ran out of spinning power. But it was spinning so fast that it would spin for like a minute or two.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was really fast. And so the game was like this doctor in his like elaborate laboratory, and you were a guy trying to stop him from mayhem or something, and the robot was your helper. He was player 2.
Man, that's awesome, Mom. Why didn't you? I want that. I want that right now.
Yeah. So, that's love for you.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you wish you still had it, man. I wish I had one right now. Like right now.
Well, it was awesome. And it was so awesome that, well, I'll tell you this. The game was boring, and it got pretty boring pretty fast.
Right.
And so I rarely played with it as a Nintendo thing.
Yeah, you just played with it as a robot.
But, yes, as a robot, he was very cool. But the most cool thing was the tops that spun, because the tops were made of metal. And they were painted red, the Nintendo red color, and they said Nintendo on them. But you could scratch that surface, and it would be really shiny underneath it. So what I would do is I would get them spinning super, super fast, and then I would take a straight pin, and I would stick it on top of the top while it was spinning.
Right.
And it would make this like these record grooves of scratches that would just come through as like really shiny.
Nice.
And I dismantled it. And I tried to make a laser.
Out of the robot?
Yes, because it only made sense to me that, it was just obvious that if you had a robot that you could shoot light into its eyes that spun tops as fast as light, the speed of light,
right,
that there must be a way to turn that into a laser.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It
makes sense.
How cool was your laser?
Well, it never panned out.
That sucks.
Yeah.
But hey, at least you had a cool robot that spun tops. It was kind of like, you ever seen that show Beyblade? I don't watch it. When I leave it on Cartoon Network when I go to sleep because it's Adult Swim and it just plays those shows. But when I wake up in the morning around 7, Beyblade's on, and they have these tops and they say, "Let it rip," and they
So is it like a extreme anime style?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And they have these tops, so I thought it would be cool to take your robot, have 2 robots, and have them Beyblade
Like do battle. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Like drop their tops into this concave arena.
Right.
Yeah.
And just
Did you ever play a
shoot
Crossfire
lasers.
when you were a kid?
I did play Crossfire where it had this thing, this
You'd
bowl.
shoot, like marbles.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
spin the things in the.
Yeah, it was a cool game.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of cool like board game type stuff back when we were kids.
So after the Nintendo was the Super Nintendo,
Oh man, that blew my mind. The Super,
which
Nintendo.
I never got. I never got the Super Nintendo, but my friends had the Super Nintendo, and my favorite game was F-Zero on there.
Oh, F-Zero.
Those cars went so fast.
Man, that was a
super
great game.
fast.
Super duper fast.
I didn't even like racing games, but for some reason F-Zero was awesome to me. Then they had this game that was super sacrilegious called what was it called?
Devil's Diner.
I think it was called
Demon
No,
Toe.
it wasn't Populous. That was a PC game. But in
Hell's
this game,
Bells.
you were God.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and you would, it was a lot. It was like Civilization in the early days.
Yeah.
Like you would build these cities, but then you would come down in the form of man.
Jesus.
Yes, but instead of like dying on the cross, you would just slay everybody. Like you were defending the city.
So you're the Jesus.
You weren't
everybody
slaying
wanted.
people. You were slaying like sub deities and demons and stuff.
Right. False idols.
Right.
Nice.
like the level would start and this like flash of light would come from the sky and just go shoo, and like you would manifest yourself as a man.
Jeez.
And you just like start slaughtering people. It was a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome. Do you remember the name?
I don't.
You don't remember the name?
No, I'll probably remember it if I.
I like to try to find a ROM of that online or somewhere.
Yeah, it was that was hellacious fun. That was the most. I think that was my favorite game on F-Zero over F-Zero, but I didn't get to play it very often.
Right.
One of my friends and I spent like all night one night beating the game. But I got the Sega Genesis now.
Oh, the Sega Genesis was awesome.
I saved up
too.
my own money and bought that.
That's when it went. All right. Regular Nintendo was 8-bit, right? And then it
Honestly,
went to 16-bit.
I think the Sega Genesis destroyed my love for game for a while.
Really?
If I'm,
How
I
so?
think I just realized that because after the Sega Genesis, I didn't really go after games. I think it made me forget how good games could be. Because Super Mario Brothers was awesome. We didn't even talk about that, but that was awesome.
That's one of the best
Nintendo
games
game. Yeah,
ever.
it's still one of the best games. Along with many of its predecessors, Super Mario Brothers 2 was not all that great.
Yeah, but it's still fun. Great fun.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers 3, if I recall, was awesome. Yeah. And then all of the ones after that
it was like
kind of stunk until the new Super Mario Brothers
right.
on the
DS.
Yeah, the is that what it's called? Yeah, the
DS.
Nintendo DS. Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's a great game.
And I played that for hours a couple of years ago. But I don't know, something about Sonic. It was kind of cool,
right?
But it didn't have the depth that Super Mario Brothers had. They were trying to compete. I don't think anybody who's ever tried to compete with Super Mario Brothers has succeeded.
Right.
Well,
Sonic
was Super Mario's answer. Or Sonic was Sega's answer to Super Mario Brothers.
Right.
And it was
they wanted
super
to come
fast.
out with that for their console.
Yeah, it was super fast, and sometimes it was so fast you even lost track of what was happening. But I don't know, something about it just wasn't as fun, and I just got bored of it.
I liked Sonic. Sonic was pretty cool. I mean, try to go get the rings, and it was super fast, and I liked the bosses at the end zones, I think they were called. But that's the first game you play when you get a Sega. But then you find out, there's other super cool games out there. And
they had like Altered Beast.
Right. And you don't really play that game that much.
Yeah, I loved Altered Beast on the arcade, but I don't think it was quite the same on the Sega.
No, I don't think it was either.
Right.
It was...
and didn't the Sega have Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Which
Sega
also wasn't quite the same as the arcade.
But it was
pretty cool.
It was still awesome on the Sega. I loved playing it. I played that hours and hours of Mortal Kombat.
I'll tell you another
Mortal
game
Kombat
that was really cool on
Mortal Kombat 2.
Earthworm Jim.
Oh, that was a great game. I loved Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
I even bought the Game Pro magazine that featured.
I like how when he got hit by the birds, he'd go, "Ow,
ow,
ow!"
Yep.
And he'd take his head out and whip the birds with his own head.
Right, it would just be a body.
Yeah.
I love that game.
And the artwork. The birds awesome. If the birds got a hold of him, they would grab on him and they wouldn't let go, and they'd like rip his head back and forth for about 2 seconds.
Yeah, they had a bunch of cool like different animations, like getting hurt type of animations, and it had like oddball backgrounds that were just weird, like weird stuff flying in space.
But I got bored of that game too.
Well, after a while, you get bored of the game.
But when you get bored of a game before you beat it, that is bad.
That is bad, but that's happened to me. I don't think I beat Earthworm Jim.
I didn't beat Earthworm Jim. I didn't beat Sonic. I got tired of it before I beat it. But with Super Mario Brothers, beating Super Mario Brothers was the holy grail among kids.
Yeah, that was quite a feat.
And Zelda.
Yeah,
beating Zelda was like, if you beat Zelda, you would sit around campfires and tell stories to your friends of your adventures. That's how amazing. Like that sounds funny, but that is almost literally the case.
Truth, yeah.
If you beat Zelda, kids would gather around you and you would tell them the tales of your adventures.
Right. You tell them about all the items you got that they couldn't get because they hadn't progressed that far. I never.
No one knew what was his name? The villain, the ultimate villain,
Ganon. Not Ganon.
Yeah, I think it was Ganon.
Yeah.
No one knew what he looked like. There were no pictures of him in the NES guide.
Right.
It was a mystery. These days, you couldn't pull that off.
No.
You would instantly find out on the internet what it would look like. But back then, nobody knew what that villain looked like. And Zelda was such a long game that when it first came out, solid gold cartridge, first game where you could save your game status.
It had a battery in it or something.
Yeah.
Or that was a legend.
First game ever that you could save your status.
Yep.
And it would take months to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it first came out, I never got it. My friend got it, but he let me play on one of, because you had 3 storage slots. He let me play one of the slots.
Yeah.
He beat Ganon, and I didn't get to see him beat Ganon.
Really?
But I certainly had him tell me the stories about it, about his legendary adventures.
Yeah, I mean that was the game back then.
And the same was true with Mario.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers. If I remember beating the first level, and I was like, or not the first level, but beating the first King Koopa.
Yeah.
And then getting in there is like sorry, Mario, but the princess is in another castle.
Right, and you didn't know where the end was. You'd go to the next one thinking it was the last level. Even the second level world or whatever, you'd think that was the last level, and you'd get to the end of the dungeon. You'd be like, all right, this is it. We beat the game. Sorry, your princess is in another castle. Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. We got to keep going.
But the same friend who beat Zelda, rewind time when we were playing Super Mario Brothers, he beat Super Mario Brothers way before I did.
Jeez, this kid was good.
And I just couldn't believe it.
Right.
I didn't think that anybody could beat Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. I thought it was never ending at first.
Yeah. and he got to the last level and he defeated it, and I eventually did.
Yeah, obviously beat
but
Mario.
I wanted it. I wanted it so bad to beat it, and that is a good game.
Yeah,
when you don't get tired of it, and when it's an in-depth game, and you don't get tired of it until it's done.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good game. Zelda met that status. Super Mario Brothers met that status, and
Metroid.
only a few games these days. I got tired of Metroid before I beat it. But some people, for some people, it was that.
Metroid was that for me. It's awesome.
Only a few games in my adult life are like that. Because I still play games from time to time.
Yeah.
But
what's your main game nowadays?
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't have a game like that these days.
Right.
But a couple of years ago, it was a year ago, I had a game that was like that and is still like that. I know how I work when it comes to video games, but Fez on the 360 was like that for me, because that game is so in depth. It brought back all of the feelings of Super Mario Brothers and Zelda, but it's way more in depth because there was all kinds of codes that you had to figure out and decipher, and the codes actually. I want you so badly to play it that I don't want to tell you this.
I've played the first part of it.
You have to. I don't think I will ever tell you the tales of my adventures because it will ruin it for you. One of these days you will find out how amazing Fez is, and I want you to discover all of these amazing puzzles and what they mean, because they seem way complicated at first. Like there's no way. Like what do I need to go and study some foreign language and learn like ancient Greek in order to solve this game?
I need to take a class down at the community college.
And then you sit and you stare at it for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden things start to click, and it's way simpler than what you thought it was. But you have to go through that.
Have you seen the documentary about Fez? It's not just Fez, but a bunch of games.
It's called
I forgot the name of it. I know on the cover it's like a game controller.
A little game controller hanging down.
Forgot the name of it.
Indie game.
Yeah.
I think it's just called Indie game. Yeah.
That's a good
documentary. That's a great I love to watch the stories of those developers. They bleed to build those games because they're all alone. It's just them.
Yeah.
And that guy I can't remember what his name, but he's the founder of Polytron.
And he had a lot of pressure.
Polytron is the company that built Fez, and it was just him, just one guy. He used to have a partner, but I don't think his partner had anything to do with the programming or graphics of the game. It was just him.
Well, he had one dude next to him. He had like a main guy that was funding the stuff, and then they broke apart because it took too long.
Yeah.
But then he brought along one other guy that did.
Yeah, but I'm saying he was the only person building that game.
Right.
Like back in the day, you want to build Super Mario Brothers, you got a team doing that. I don't know how many people were on that team, but it wasn't one person.
Yeah, it was a bunch
but this
of people.
guy built a game on par with any of the Super Mario Brothers games, in my opinion.
I'd say so.
Super in depth, amazing concepts that, in terms of game logic, that nobody had ever considered until this game.
Right.
And I don't know if anybody will ever copy him, but the extremely unique gameplay, and he built it all by himself. It took him years to build it.
He was getting a lot of pressure from the top.
He demoed it once at a game con, and people got super excited.
He won some award.
He won an award out, and then it was like 2 or 3 years later before it ever came out. People were like waiting, and most people had just finally given up, thinking it would never come out.
Right.
In the meantime, it's taken him so long because he didn't know anything about building games when he started, and then he spent years building it. Fast forward 3 years, he's learned a ton about building games, and he goes back and looks at his graphics and his code, and it's not good enough. Goes back and redoes it all with his new experience. And
that's commitment. That's a lot of hard work.
Years of commitment on faith that this game is as good as he thinks it is, and people will buy it and love it. And demos it when it's finally ready at this convention, and it starts crashing. But finally, when it's almost done, he's demoing it, and it just starts crashing. Or people are trying to play it, they don't understand how great it is because it's just crashing over and over again. He is falling apart at this convention. Finally gets it fixed. People are loving it. But when it comes out, I think the first day it sold like 125,000 copies.
Jeez, that's good.
And then it just went from there. But you've got to get into that game. You've got to spend.
I played it a little bit over your house one day.
You've got to buy it and play it on your own.
Well, if I buy Fez, you have to get.
I hate first-person shooters.
Well, no, I'm not talking about first-person shooter. I'm talking about Dark Souls.
That is a first-person shooter. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I'm not playing that. I don't like.
It's not a first-person shooter, dude. It's basically Zelda.
If you don't want to play Fez, then don't play it. But
I do want to play
deal
Fez.
with you. Well, I don't want to play Dark Souls.
Well, you should play it. You're missing out. You're sitting on a gold mine and don't even know it.
I played it with you for like 2 hours.
No, you didn't play it for 2 hours. You were doing something else, and I was playing it. You was on the computer or something, and you got to. It's like Zelda, basically. It's Zelda.
I'm not playing Dark Souls just to get you to play Fez.
Well, I'll still play Fez, but you should play Dark. I'm just telling you for your own good. You should.
I
play
have
Dark Souls.
captivated you with my story about why Fez is great, and you have given me crap when it comes to telling me why Dark Souls is great. Oh, when you die, you go back to a campfire, and there's other people playing, and there's ghosts in your game.
No, I'm just. There's so many items in the game. You have to put different items together, materials to upgrade your weapon and get a better weapon. Kill these incredibly insane hard bosses.
I think I'm stuck in the old world of video games. I think I'm stuck.
Well, you need to get
in
out
the
of
Nintendo era of video
Dark
games.
Souls.
Like my favorite games on the iPhone or iPad are ones where the graphics are either really great artwork or really simple artwork.
Right.
I love the graphics of Fez because it I mean, that's one beautiful thing about Fez is it is and Jeff Kanata, formerly of the Totally Rad Show, put it perfectly, that Fez is a love letter to retro gaming. It is a modern game, but it is not just built to look like retro games, but there are things about it that are jokes and things that are like, hey, remember when video games were like this? Like
right.
One spoiler I'll give you, and you already know about it, but anybody who hasn't played it won't. But it's right at the beginning, so it's not much of a spoiler. Is that it starts out in a 2D world, and he gets this magic hat. That's why it's called Fez. His name is Gomez, but he gets this magic Fez cap that allows him to see the world in 3D. It's a dimension that nobody in his world is familiar with. They all think in 2 dimensions, but he discovers this 3rd dimension. And when he gets it, it crashes the game. Like the game literally crashes. And it like on Nintendo, when you played a game and something went wrong, it would like everything would freeze and these painful like colored pixels would come out. And it would just get all like it would just look crazy. Right. And that's what would happen to this game. That's what happened in Fez when you got 3D. It's like the computer couldn't grasp what this was, and it would crash, and it would reboot, and you would see DOS commands and stuff, and you'd hear this like a fan was coming on, and it would come back on, and Fez would like wake up in his room, and all of a sudden, it's still in 2D, but you can flip the world and see it right, 2 dimensions at a time.
Yeah, I was playing it over at your house, and you hadn't told me about it yet, and I was sitting there playing it. I think you do a little something first before it does that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's
yeah, you were like, what the hell?
Dude, what's up?
What's going on? Did I break your game?
Right, and then all of a sudden it started over. You're like, got you. Got you.
The whole game would literally start over. Like, it wasn't like fake crash. And then you're back in Gomez's room. The game would start
the title
from
screen.
the very beginning.
Yeah.
Title screen. Well, first you'd have the DOS commands and stuff, and go, and then it would start, and you'd have to select start the game. You have to go right back into it from the beginning. And
I wonder if he did. He probably did that after all those crashings. His demo crashed so many times.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe it's like, oh, I knew Fez would crash on me.
Yeah.
No,
we're out of time. This is not what we planned to talk about at all.
No, it's not.
You were going to read Bible stories to me.
Yes. We were going to talk about the horrors.
I think video games are way more interesting.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad we didn't hurt you with horrible Bible stories that would scare you.
That's probably
give you nightmares.
subconsciously why I derailed you.
Or did I derail you?
Maybe you.
Or did we derail each other? Oh, snap.
All right. Video games are awesome.
Yes, they are. And
I don't care what Dad says.
And we haven't even scratched the surface. We didn't even get into the Sega CD or the Saturn.
Dad doesn't get video games.
32X.
Dad doesn't get video games.
Well, because he's lamer.
He doesn't understand me.
He doesn't get my emoticons.
Oh, he did play Galaga with me one time.
Ah.
He got excited about that because I had Galaga on my iPhone, and he played it when he was younger.
Was he good?
Galaga is awesome.
No, was he good?
Have you played the new Galaga? Did you come over to my house and play Galaga with me? I bought Galaga, the new
updated,
totally redesigned Galaga. It's
was
awesome.
On Xbox Arcade.
Yeah, we got the trial, and you and I played the trial, and then I decided it wasn't awesome. And then later I went back and bought it, and it is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah. So
nice.
you'll have to come over and play it with me.
Sweet beans. Oh, and just before we go, another awesome Xbox 360 arcade game, Geometry Wars. I just got to throw that out there for you. So that was awesome.
Yeah,
game.
that was a legend in its time.
Yes, it is. All right, girls and boys, it's time for us to go. We got a lot more show to go. Stay tuned for What Would Jesus Do? Starring
What Would Love Do?
What? Oh yeah, What Would Love Do? Starring Daryl Furlow and Tina Furlow and Stephen Furlow, Nicole Furlow, and Jephthah Furlow.
Yeah.
And then after that, you got your main man on the ones and twos, Mr. Joey Livingston, with Gregory Bray at 5 p.m. Central Daylight Savings Time.
Yeah.
And it will be good. Have y'all changed the name yet? Or it's still Save the Atheist?
We haven't changed it yet.
Well, stay tuned, boys.
Yeah.
Love y'all. Bye-bye. Take care.
Yeah.
See you on the flip. Don't let your meat loaf.
Just hit me in the face with a microphone.